Sometimes, no matter how hard we try, relationships just don't work out for a variety of reasons. They just don't work out. So, then how do you successfully co parent if you have a child by someone who seems to derive pleasure from causing you pain and who actually has you locked up? That's what happened to this person. Stay tuned and we'll talk about it. Thank you for joining me today on Ask Lois the Relatable Therapist. My name is Lois Goodall, and this channel is all about promoting positive relationships, whether it's family, friends, coworkers, encouraging those relationships. And I get my inspiration from reality TV, what's happening in the news, or anything else that I think that's going to help me help you to have those positive relationships. And so today we're going to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, Destiny Payton, and how she's in a situation where the relationship didn't last, but she still has to see this person, and he's causing her all kind of problems. Do my disclaimer: this video is protected by the Fair Use Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. And allowances is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. So today we're back on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And today we're going to talk about Destiny. And this is Destiny. And Destiny, she was married to a man named LeBaric. They were together for 5.5 years, and they were married for almost 2 years. I put this up because one of the things I like about reality TV is it offers the cast members opportunities to do other things and to get exposure and to make more money. So here I have Destiny. She has a podcast called The Unbreakable, and I know she had two podcasts on there. I don't know if it's still on. I was looking to see more, but on her podcast, it's for people that have went through something horrific in their life and they were unbreakable. They rose above it. And so I actually listened to a podcast, and that's where I got some of this information from. And also she was on a podcast called Dear Future Wifey, and she shared some of that information also. So I encourage you to go and listen to that because she shares a lot more information. But her and her husband, like I said, on the first season of Love and Marriage Huntsville, they were newlyweds. They had just gotten married. She moved from, I think, Georgia, and he lived in Huntsville. And so she moved in with him. So she literally moved her life to be with this man. And so one of the issues right away that we saw was that she didn't want to take her husband's last name. And this is something I tell people when they're getting ready to get married. Make sure that you not only do a prenup if you've got money or anything valuable, but also make sure you address those little issues, because that little issue right there became a big issue. It became a big issue. She wouldn't take his name. She said she didn't take it because her brother had passed and she wanted to still honor the family name. Well, she had married LeBaric, that was his name, her husband, and she didn't want to take his family name. And he felt some way about that. And so she was like, oh, we'll talk about it in counseling. Well, it never got resolved, to the point that when she went into the hospital to have their child, he didn't put her on insurance. And so she walked away with a $20,000 bill from the hospital because he refused to put her on insurance. And even so, to the point that 3 weeks after the child was born, he filed for divorce. Now, I know part of the reason, she said allegedly, was that she didn't take his name, but then also throughout when she did her podcast and when she did the Dear Wifey podcast, found out that there was some domestic violence issue going on. And she did not tell anybody what was going on because she was still trying to work on her marriage. Fast forward, she found herself on Crime Stoppers. Now, we saw somebody else on Crime Stoppers, Kiki Jabbar, which was Letitia's cousin. She was on Crime Stoppers. So Crime Stoppers is they doing things out there in Huntsville. But she was on Crime Stoppers because she allegedly forged his name on a utility contract. And so, she's turned herself in, went to jail for that, and had to deal with that. So how do you bounce back from that? How do you bounce back from that when the most horrific thing that a person could do was get you put in jail and they were your ex? And so she was saying that she was just blindsided by that because she had never told anybody about the domestic violence in the relationship because she said, and I quote, she was trying to protect her child. She didn't want her child to know about that. So she fought to protect her child. Now her child is only 3 years old. So when she said she didn't want him to know that, I kind of, I guess she's talking about later on in life, she didn't want him to hear about that. But one of the things she said in the Dear Wifey podcast was that she, her ex wasn't paying child support. He wasn't paying child support. Now, child support is not for the mother. The child support is for the child. And I think sometimes people get confused about that. They'll say, oh, I didn't want any child support, but it's not for you. It was for him. It's for his future. Now, when she said she was trying to protect him, she didn't want to tell him about what was going on with his dad. I wonder why she didn't protect his future, secure his future, because she had some issues with finances to the point that in the show, I think season 2 or 3, her and Melody kind of got into a disagreement because Melody told people that she actually gave her some money, allegedly. And so Destiny was upset. So we're saying she had financial problems. Then she had financial problems when she actually opened up, well, she was trying to open up a beauty shop called Madani. One side was going to be for a hair salon. The other side, they were going to sell hair products. Well, she didn't have the money to continue with that. And so she was having some financial issues. And I know a lot of times women will say, I don't need him. Well, if you're asking your friends for money and probably your family for help, you probably need him because after all, you guys agreed to have that child. She even calls her child her miracle child. She said she went through several miscarriages and finally she was able to carry this child. And so that's what I want to kind of talk about today is sometimes women, because Destiny, she was saying that she was doing her own thing. She wasn't thinking about getting married. She was making money. Sometimes when women get into a place where they need to ask for help, they don't ask for help because they want to be seen a certain way. I'm not saying she is, but I'm saying sometimes women do. They want to be seen as this independent person. The word they throw around now is they're a boss. But if you can't pay your bills and if you are struggling, then you need to ask for, and it's not a handout. That's his duty to give you child support. That's his child too. Destiny said he comes over, he sees the child in her house while she's cooking, but he's not paying child support. And that just baffles me that so many women, they let the man off without paying child support. The child support, again, is not for you, it's for your child to secure their future. And so, just like she said that LeBerick, he went in and he reopened the divorce case, she can reopen it and say, you know what, I want to put child support in there. Initially, she said, I didn't do it because I just wanted to be finished with the marriage. I was tired. I gave him whatever he wanted. But now I would suggest you go back in and put that child support in there because it's for your son. It's to secure his future. And if you say you don't want to spend it, put it in a trust for him. Put it in an account for him. That's his money. But to struggle like you were struggling, it just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense to me at all. And the second thing I want to say is when you're dealing with somebody that has so much hostility towards you, you might want to consider parallel parenting. And parallel parenting is when you have a toxic ex and you still have to co-parent with them. It's a way to interact, but to limit the interactions so you won't have any negative behaviors, any outbursts, any fighting in front of the child. And it also is helpful when it's difficult to get along with the other parent, which is what you're having difficulty. And also when the other parent is holding on, they're holding on to negative things that they can't forgive. So obviously there's some things that's going on with him that he couldn't forgive. And there was some more issues about the house. He wouldn't give her the title to the house so she can put in her name. There's a lot of things going on. And this was his child. And so with the parallel parenting, this is calling disengaging from one another and just engaging when you have to, just talking about the child, not dealing with anything else but the child. And they actually have co-parenting apps that you can use to do that interaction. And I'll put the link up at the bottom, at the end, because I actually did a whole video on that. So how does this react? How does this relate to you? because so many people are in this type of situation. They're in a situation with a toxic ex. Some people call them narcissists. You saw Melody, she was in one. And so you have to learn how to parallel parent and to disengage from all the nonsense. If you see that this person, what they own is silliness, messiness, you have to disengage. And you have to do parallel parent, and you have to put things in place. And one of the things to put in place would be to use parenting apps. And they have the parenting apps, and the courts, a lot of times, they assign that so she can go back to court, put that in their divorce decree that we're going to use these parenting apps to communicate, because you don't want to give that person any opportunity to cause you any type of stress. And as a matter of fact, I think he's remarried, if I'm not mistaken. I think he has remarried. So, parenting apps, and also making sure you get that child support. That child support is for your child. You could still be a boss and get child support. You could still be taking care of yourself and get child support, because the child support is for your son. Okay, so that's all I had to say today. So if any of you are dealing with that situation, dealing with somebody that's very toxic, let me know in the comments. I love reading the comments. I want you guys to continue to tell me how you feel about it. Tell me how you feel about what we're talking about. And go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Again, this channel is all about positive family relationship dynamics, friendships, or anything that's going to cause you to have wonderful relationships. And here's another video that I was just talking about that's going to talk to you about those parenting apps. So go ahead, click on it, and let me know what you think.